All right, welcome everyone to the opening night with the artists for the first ever Sheography exhibition, Sacred Spaces. We have such a delightful evening of celebration planned for you tonight, and thank you all for being here and for supporting Sheography's newest endeavor and these artists on the screen. My name is Colleen Minnick, and I am the founder of the ringleader for and the self-designated CFO, Chief Fun Officer, for Sheography. And while I have been teaching all women's photography workshops since 2008, I founded Sheography in May of 2017. Almost 9 years ago to the day. And it was during an all-women's rafting photography trip on the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon, and I remember the day, and some of you were even there. It was such an epic start to Sheography's efforts to empower women to be their truest self through the art of photography. Since then, women from across the world have traveled to gorgeous locations from coast to coast within the United States. We have made so many photographs. We have made haikus, we have made paintings, we have enjoyed breakthroughs in our photographic journey. And no matter where we end up, the goal for Sheography is to put the her in the photographer. But as any Sheographer, which is what we call workshop alumni, has come to know, this vibrant community has shared more than just photo trips in beautiful places. We have learned to keep shooting. We've learned to get off the bus, that the shrub in the foreground really sells it, about obnoxious Georgia crops, and that management requires us to have fun only on Thursdays at 2 p.m. for 15 minutes. We've learned to keep shooting even when we faceplant in sand. We've learned that every girl needs a little hyperfocal in the morning. We know that the plan is the plan until the plan changes, and the plan changes often, so plan on it. We have shared stories and discoveries and life waves and hugs and fist bumps and laughs and a whole lot of pie. We have made lifelong friends, and we have made lifelong memories. We have literally shared sacred spaces, and I am so honored to be a part of all Sheography has become since 2017. Which brings us to today and the official opening of Sacred Spaces online exhibition and the start to Sheography's 10th anniversary celebrations. The Sacred Spaces exhibition is the collaboration of 16 workshop alumni, some of which you see here on your screen. The show includes 31 photographic prints conveying the beauty, resilience, fragility, power, and tranquility of outdoor environments that hold personal, historical, and cultural meaning to us. In offering this exhibition and this webinar tonight, we hope to encourage thought, to maybe ask yourself, what does a sacred space mean to you, whether you photograph or not? Now, I'm going to be serving as the moderator for tonight's agenda, which will start with introductions of the artists. We'll do a slideshow of the exhibition work, and then we'll move into a panel discussion about sacred spaces. After that, several individual artists have volunteered to introduce one of their exhibition photographs. Towards the end, we will have some time for audience Q&A, and thanks to those who submitted your questions ahead of time. Please feel free to send over any additional questions using, where's the Q&A? Well, put it in the chat. Oh, no, Q&A is off to the side. If you have a Q&A button at the bottom, go ahead and put it there. If you have it in the chat, you can do that too. We'll find you somehow. I'll be looking for you. So with that, I would also encourage you to be as generous with your support for these amazing Sheographers. Drop some love and encouragement in the chat as we go through tonight's webinar. We have never done this before. This is our first exhibition. For some of these women, this is the very first time they have shown their work publicly beyond social media. Some have never penned a bio before this exhibition, and some are on screen for a webinar for the very first time. So to put your work, to put your heart and soul, to even put yourself out there is such a massive display of courage. And I couldn't be more proud of these women for all of the work that they have put into this exhibition and to this webinar and for being here tonight. So with that, what do you say we hear from the stars of tonight's show? Sheographers, welcome. And thank you for being here tonight. Congratulations on your new exhibition. It is spectacular. Let's do some introductions. When I call on you, please let us know your name, where your home is, and what your favorite flavor of pie is. We'll get to some deeper stuff later, but let's get to favorite flavor of pie. I'm just going to call on you. Let's see. Rebecca, how about you kick this off for us?
Hey everybody, Rebecca Wilkes coming to you from tiny Yarnell, Arizona. And my favorite pie is pecan because who doesn't love a sugar rush?
Right. Excellent. Gwen, how about Gwen? Where's Gwen?
Gwen Williams is coming from the great state of Texas and absolutely apple pie all day long.
Another great choice, yes. Kathy Bird.
Hi, my name is Kathy Bird, and I am in Gilbert, Arizona. And my favorite flavor of pie is rhubarb because my dad used to make the best rhubarb pie from rhubarb from the garden.
Oh, yeah. Homemade and from the garden. Spectacular. All right, where is Karen?
Karen Ryan here from Buckeye, Arizona. My favorite pie is my grandmother's peach pie, served warm with a big scoop of ice cream on top.
Raise your hand if you're an ice cream kind of person with pie, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Probably depends, but yeah, that's pretty great. Yeah, for those of you online, drop your favorite flavor of pie in the chat for us. Or you can raise your hand too. So let's go on to Christy.
I'm Christy Schroeder from Chandler, Arizona, and my favorite flavor of pie is blueberry.
Awesome. How about Sherry?
Hi, Sherry Scottapole from Alberta, Canada, and out here on the prairies, we love a good flapper pie, which is a vanilla custard topped with meringue and graham wafer crust. Perfect.
I have never heard of flapper pie, but being a big fan of like the 1920 flapper girls and pie, I feel like that conceptual blend is pretty spectacular. I'm going to have to make that. Thanks for that. All right, let's go to Linda Mattoon.
Hi, I'm Linda Mattoon. I'm in Pahrump, Nevada. And my favorite pie has got to be the ever elusive rhubarb custard.
Another rhubarb inspired. Yeah, excellent. Let's go to the Linda McMillan.
Hi, I'm Linda McMillan, and I am living in the beautiful mountains of Park City, Utah. And my favorite pie is one that I made for Dog Mother's Day, and it was a lemon olive oil pie with cream. It was really good.
Amazing. How about Donna?
Howdy, I'm Donna Calais, and I live in upstate New York. And my favorite pie is chocolate, and it has to have some whipped cream on it.
Oh, all right. We got ice cream. Who's a whipped cream kind of girl? With that, maybe. Yeah. Good extra. I like that. A little extra sugar, a little extra.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move to Sue.
Hi, I'm Sue Columber from Chandler, Arizona. I think my favorite pie is like a hot cherry pie with vanilla ice cream.
Amazing. And Shirley.
Hi, I'm Shirley Wyrock from Orville, Ohio. And I couldn't pick a favorite pie, but I will happily make a big bucket of homemade ice cream to go with all of yours.
I'll take all of the pies. and all of the yeah. Welcome, Shirley. All right, did I miss anybody? Tried to go. There's Deanna. Deanna.
I'm Deanna from Gilbert, Arizona, and my favorite pie is mincemeat. If you know, you know.
Do you make that?
Well,
pie?
no, you get it in a jar.
Oh.
You could make it, but it's like a holiday Christmassy type. Has brandy in it. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds fantastic. You guys are you're all making me hungry now. So, okay, is that everybody? Did I get everybody? Got everybody. Oh, I'm leave anyone out. All right. Yeah, certainly lots to celebrate. And yeah, so hopefully we've got some pie in our future. We've got lots of different, Tim Morgan says that in the chat, says his favorite pie is the one he's eating. And I support that 100%. So, all right. So these are your Sacred Spaces artists. So bravo. Welcome, ladies. So just some background on the exhibition. The idea around having a Sheography exhibition started bubbling up in 2024. We put out a call for submission in April of 2025. So we've been working on this for some time now. In the call for submissions, we required that the photographs be the photographer's own original work and not created from scratch with artificial intelligence tools. We also required that the photograph focused on the natural world, but could include the hand of man, hand of humans. We allowed digital and processing modifications to things like exposure, color, cropping, warping. Those were all acceptable. The photographs could be of pretty much anything from any lens or any photographic technique like intentional camera movement or focus stacking. And finally, while the participation was limited to sheographers, so past sheography participants, their photographs did not need to come from a sheography workshop. The images could be from anywhere and everywhere. So, and at any time. And so one of Sheography's primary values is to offer a safe, supportive, and non-competitive environment for women to feel comfortable and confident expressing themselves. So this exhibition, I want to make clear, was not a competition. The images were not judged. A curation team, including myself, as well as sheographers Ambika Balasubramanian, Kathy Bird, Deanna Sander, and Christy Schroeder reviewed the images that were submitted. And we were really seeking a diverse set of photographs that work well together to support our theme of sacred spaces. Once we had selected the images, we then started monthly prep meetings to put all the pieces together for the visual and virtual exhibition. And for those of you who were on a little bit earlier, you might have heard us talking about the first time, we were putting together bios and metadata and things like that. So all of the sheographers who submitted work and remained engaged in the process are represented in this exhibition. And so with that, who wants to see some images? Anybody? To give you a taste of the images that we selected, we would like to share a slideshow of these images in the show. So let me pull that up. Get this out of the way and move into this one. Bravo. Woo! Such a fabulous collection. Yeah, we've got Toro, you're getting all the love in the chat right now. Bravo, beautiful. Toro, very impressive, perfectly executed photographs made me feel very calm. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, you're getting all the love. So ladies, definitely pop into the chat. You're getting lots of love. Thank you all for sharing your positive feedback. I couldn't agree with you more. So let's hear some thoughts from the artist's voice, from the artist's perspective, the voice behind the images. It's time for our special panel discussion. Woo! Where these talented photographers are going to answer some questions about sacred spaces. They're going to share their personal insights, creative journey, and some of the deeper meaning behind their work. We'll go through some of the photographs here in just a little bit, but let's first kind of set the stage. I'm going to throw out some questions here. We'll start with, what is a sacred space? And as audience member Rocky LaRose submitted as a question when she registered, for you, how does a sacred space differ from a comfortable or peaceful space? And let's start with Shirley. Shirley, what's a sacred space to you?
Well, when I started thinking about this, I realized I had way too many words. So I'm gonna start with a quote from Peter Gomes, a Harvard theologian, who said, "There is in Celtic mythology the notion of thin places in the universe, where the visible and the invisible world come into their closest proximity. Where there is the clearest communication between the temporal and the eternal. The ultimate of these thin places in the human condition are the experiences of people they're likely to have as they encounter suffering, joy, and mystery." And that word mystery is the one that resonated most for me.
And so when you're out or in your existence, how does a sacred space feel like in terms of mystery? What does mystery feel like to you?
I've had experiences of communication from something beyond myself that is different than my everyday communication. I've heard voices, like someone was sitting right beside me talking to me, and there was no one there. I've received insight from someplace beyond myself into something that's been troubling or puzzling me for a while. I have a sense of my own insignificance in the universe, and I usually wind up feeling extremely grateful for the experience.
Absolutely. And so it sounds like when we say sacred space, space is not necessarily a place. It's almost a state of being, and it's perhaps a relationship that we've established with what I call the real world, nature, right? Something that we establish in some way. And maybe it's a way that it's a space, again, not necessarily a place, but a space where we're learning something about the world, about ourselves, about our photography. It's a sense of awe. You said mystery is a great word. Wonder, gratitude, familiarity, maybe even healing. And
it happens most often when I slow down and I'm open and receptive to it. I get too busy to let those things in sometimes.
So you're not necessarily running around chasing a photograph.
No, not at all. It happens quite randomly.
Must make a photograph. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you've got to connect, just simply exist and connect with your environment. Yeah. Is it always comfortable? Is it always peaceful? And this gets back to Rocky's question.
No. No, not always.
Has art, photography, or just simply existing in nature, has it helped you heal in any specific way, or?
I've done some training in contemplative practices through the Shalem Institute in Baltimore, and I I use my photography as a spiritual practice, as a contemplative practice for myself. And so I don't like to look at the screen on the back of my camera. I like to look through the viewfinder because that helps me to close out all the noise around me and get that tunnel vision kind of feeling that I'm really focused on what I'm doing, where I am, and what's happening there.
Amazing. Amazing. Excellent. Well, let's move on to another question. Thanks, Shirley. What does sacred space mean to you at this moment in your life? Let's start maybe with Linda Mattoon.
Well, sacred spaces to me are natural spaces that inspire, they relax, renew, they're spiritual. And the older I get, the more I'm asking myself, what kind of ancestor do I want to be? I would say sacred spaces are the ones that I want to ensure that my grandchildren's grandchildren get to share, that these spaces are still there for them to see and experience as you and I see them today. And that's what a sacred space is to me.
Excellent. Christy, would you agree? What does sacred space mean to you, and what does it mean to you in this moment in your life?
I do, and I'd like to add, have a, at this moment in my life, as I thought about this question, life has been pretty busy for me recently. There's lots of demands on my time, mostly from work. I know a lot, you all can probably relate, demands from work, family, just getting through the day. So it's easy to get caught up in everything it takes, just to make it through the day or the week, and what we feel like we should be doing. And often I feel as if I'm just checking things off a list. So currently, to me, a sacred space is any observation or moment that pulls me out of that mentality, and causes me to stop and notice something, to really observe what maybe caused me to pay attention, and pulled me out of that, kind of rat race mentality. It could be anything from like beautiful fleeting light. I really enjoy, beautiful light, a new flower in the garden in my backyard, or even just a moment with friends and family, that meant something. So, maybe not necessarily like a place, a physical place, but just, something that I noticed, or a moment that made me really think, oh, this is what life's about. This is, what we need to enjoy. Everything else can wait.
I think everyone, just about everyone, can relate to the idea of just being bogged down with life, like just surviving and getting through the day and work and demands and expectations and responsibilities. How would you recommend people find their own sacred space? Like how do you get to a place where you feel like you're in a sacred space? And this could be for Christy or anyone. Are there
It's
magic
not even something I go searching for.
Go ahead.
It's not even something maybe I search for. It's something that just, maybe sometimes right time, right place. Like if I just think, oh, I'd like to step outside at sunset and see what the light looks like. And maybe, there's something beautiful happening out there. Or I, remember to go look in the garden in the backyard, maybe before work, just like, let's take a moment and go, and before we start the day to really observe.
I love that. I mean, we're all seeing these beautiful photographs from all of these fabulous places, right? But just the simple idea of connecting with your backyard, your garden, like that can absolutely be a sacred space. Did someone else have their hand up?
I do. I go searching for a sheography workshop.
Oh,
it's the ultimate sacred space.
It is,
honestly.
True.
Honest.
It's non-competitive, it's uplifting, it's encouraging, it's, I don't know. Yeah,
it's a creative, sacred space where you can be yourself, and
you're amongst friends.
Yes, we all support each other. That's where I go searching for my sacred space.
And we're glad for that. Yeah. I mean, it's helpful to be in a supportive environment where you don't have the constant demands and the responsibilities, and nature provides that naturally, right? The cliffs don't care what you look like. The ravens don't care what kind of photograph you made. The river doesn't care how your day was at work. It's just insouciance, right? And so, as humans, one of the things that at least I'm hoping to do through Sheography, and I hope that we can all do in our own way, is to find those spaces where we don't have the noise of the manufactured world, that we can actually connect with our own self, our own voices in our head, and our own interests and our own desires, and feel confident in that. And so I am very glad to hear that, Deanna. That was not planned. That was the shameless promotion. But that just makes me feel, I warms my heart that we can provide that space and that sacred space. So let's go to the next question, which is, where do you feel most connected to yourself, to the landscape, to the universe, and how does that space influence your photography? So you mentioned Sheography workshops, but maybe some other places. Let's start with Rebecca.
Okay, absolutely. First of all, Deanna, yes. I just want to say that I'm really honored to be here, and I want to thank the entire community for the inspiration and support I've had over the years, and for the help finding my tribe, which is another piece of this community. And I was not paid off to say that either.
You guys are going off script.
There you go. So okay. To address the question, I think the goal is to feel connected and in that sacred space all the time, or failing that as much as possible. But maybe that's not realistic in modern life. A sacred space is one that feels good, place that I do my best creative work, and a place to experience synchronicity. So my best trick to make it easier to get to that place, which can be that mental place, which can be elusive, is to find physical places that are beautiful, usually isolated, because that's my pace, with a particular quality of silence, maybe with some beautiful light, and places that are not people-y. I always say if there were an introverts club, I would be the president, but of course there's no introverts club because we're introverts, right?
We get together separately. Yes.
Yeah. So, some of my favorite places are beautiful high altitude forests in the fall, or my favorite secret sand dunes in the Mojave Desert in the winter, places that are particularly quiet, and there's a palpable silence there. And that's really my way of keeping in touch with what's important in life.
And how does all of that influence your photography, do you think?
So much of that is intuitive. I'm not one of those people who's thinking in a structured way about what I'm doing. I'm out there and I'm having that feeling, and it flows from that. It's odd because by nature I'm a pretty analytical person, and maybe that's why one of the reasons photography is so good for me is it takes me out of that and makes it about what feels like it's supposed to be.
I love that. Yeah. Sometimes you can't put it to words. You can't even put it to photographs sometimes. Sometimes it just is a feeling, right? It's just something you feel inside. Yeah. Sherry, do you have some additional thoughts on this question? Where do you feel most connected to yourself, to the landscape, to the universe, and how does that space influence your photography?
Yeah, it's a pretty easy answer for me. I absolutely love being under a night sky. That is the one place where I feel connected to everything, and yet such a small part of it. it's a sacred place because I feel like we need to protect it, but also that it envelops you. And that feeling of being tiny in a vast presence is something that I crave. It's therapeutic for me. It's healing. And if I'm going through difficult moments in my life, that's where I search to be.
Interesting. I mean, I growing up, the night was like kind of a scary thing. So, like, is this something that you embraced from, your youth? Is this something you connect?
I was terrified of the dark as a child. I remember running through the basement with all the lights on, getting to my room, and my parents would have to come down and shut them all off. I hated being in the dark, and yet it is one of my favorite places to be now. And I revel in the noises of the night. I know a lot of people get a little bit freaked out listening to coyotes howl or what have you, but you're very aware of every sound out there. I think it brings your senses more to the surface. And it's pretty spectacular. And when I'm out photographing, I'm trying to convey that feeling to the people who see my photos. But I don't take those photos for other people, I take them for myself. And if someone else connects to it, that's just a huge bonus.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Creating photographs, creating art for our own purpose is the key, right? Is number one. And if everybody else likes it, great. That's awesome to hear that you kind of warmed up to the idea or cooled down at night.
Yes.
Warmed up to the night sky. Fantastic. Let's see. Donna, do you have some thoughts on this from your perspective?
Yes. Living in upstate New York, we have beautiful parks with waterfalls, streams, and I connect with all of the areas around here. But I think where I connect most is when I travel in my car to places outside of New York. They can be a drive of 10 hours, like when I go to Acadia, with 2 stops. And if I don't see something along the road that stop my car and photograph, then it might be a little longer. Or sometimes I decide to go visit a lighthouse somewhere on my way to my to Bar Harbor. And I also have another special place in New Jersey that I go to on the New Jersey shore, and there's a wildlife refuge there. I have one of the photos from that place, and that's about a 6-hour drive. So I think what happens is that I love my home, and I like being here, but when I drive away in my car, I'm sad for a moment because I'm leaving my house, but as soon as I get down the road, the to-do list is erased. The state of the world is erased, like many have said. And then all of a sudden, I'm just free. And even the drive there is freeing. I enjoy looking at, it's a beautiful drive there that I have. It's through a lot of hills in New York and that are gorgeous. This last time I went to Acadia, I stopped several times because the trees had ice on them. And I was just like, oh my gosh, and trying to find ways to pull off the interstate. That's a trip, a fun time to do. But, and when I get there, I'm so feeling this freedom. I'm excited about this place. I'm always excited about going there, no matter how many times I go. And it doesn't even matter that I get up at 6 every morning to get out with my camera. I want as much time as I can have out in the beauty of, especially like Acadia or in the New Jersey. And I think it my senses are like never at any other time, because all I want to do is take on in the beauty of this place and look for compositions that might be different from. It's kind of hard in Acadia to do photographs that somebody hasn't photographed, but that's one of one of the things that I want to do is look for something that isn't quite so common and iconic. That gives me a great challenge. I definitely slow down. I have a whole week there. Normally I take a week by myself, and I have 5 days, so I can sit back and just enjoy every single minute of it. And I will have memories forever. I mean, I've been to Acadia 4 times, and I can tell you what happened each time I was there. And each time I go, it's different. I get a different surprise. I get a snowstorm. I was there in a blizzard. And it just is this feeling of freedom and having my mind just be able to concentrate on my photography and on the beauty and make memories.
I mean, I love all of that. Yeah, you used a couple of words that I want to highlight. You used the word surprise, and Shirley had opened the conversation with mystery, and I think that's a big part of sacred space. Discovery, curiosity, things like that. The other word that I think we should add to the definition is absolutely freedom. Like sacred space is freedom, in all regards, and so I love that. Yeah, thanks for that. Let's move on to another question. How did you approach interpreting the theme of sacred spaces? So what we've talked about here in your work for this exhibition. And let's start with Linda McMillan, please.
Well, hello, everybody. First, I just want to echo, especially the community of Sheography. It has meant so much to me, and it still does. And you guys are just so supportive and amazing. Beyond that, so I don't cry.
You guys are going to make me cry.
I know, that's why I have tissues, right? So I describe myself as a Southern mountain girl. As my sister-in-law, Cindy, who's been so supportive, can attest to, I grew up in the country in Alabama, and I loved it. I loved being outside, and I did have a few stints in between moving to the mountains in Park City, but not too many. And so I spent most of my life kind of living outdoors. I mean, I can look outside right now and I see a mountain. I have windows galore. And they're green. There's not much snow, but snow is gone. So for me, that is my sacred space. It's where I live. It's where I love. I hike. Sometimes, my camera can be my phone. I can take my big girl camera. So when, sacred spaces just talked to me, and picking out the images, it was a slam dunk. They were the two that I have there. They just touched my soul.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because Jill Attaway, a Sheographer, submitted a question when she registered. How did you decide what works and pieces to include in the exhibition? Because, I mean, we've got gazillions of photographs. How did you choose, Linda? How did you choose the two?
They chose me.
How do you, yeah, what does that mean? How does that
these
jump
two,
out of your computer?
They jumped out of my heart.
There you go.
They both of them were special times in my life, and
well, hold on to that thought, because you're going to talk about one of your images in the next segment. So yeah.
So they chose me.
Very good. Love that. Let's hear from Sue. Sue, how did you interpret the theme of sacred spaces for the exhibition, and how did you decide which images you submitted?
So for me, photography is a chance for me to get kind of out of my own and away from everything. I like the quietness of nature and just being out. Um, so the two photos I chose were centered around sunrise and water. And I chose them because sunrise is a chance when it's very quiet. There's not a lot of people out there. It often gives you like a big surprise. There's that word surprise in color. You never know what you're going to get with sunrise. The colors, and then water has like all that beauty and the reflections at sunrise and the motion. So that's why I chose those two photos. It just gives me a chance to like really appreciate what's out in nature and enjoy that time by myself.
I love that. And I feel all of you in your own different way have done sort of that. They're not sunrises, they're not all sunsets, but we have that emotion and that feeling, that connection that Sue's talking about through all of the images, right? In your own way. And that's great. So this brings me to my last question on the panel discussion. We'll get to audience Q&A here in a second. What do you hope this collective body of work offers to those who experience it? How about Gwen?
I hope, I guess, listening to how we as a group selected our photos, how we think about photography and what it means to us. I hope that it encourages everybody else that's on this webinar to reflect and do the same. Take a look at your photography. What do you enjoy? What do you want to do more of? What do you want to do less of? What do you want to learn? Ultimately, I hope it encourages everybody to pick up their camera and make time, be intentional, and go out and shoot, which is a real struggle for a lot of us. I really believe the creativity is rest, and it's been very therapeutic for me over my photography career to shoot. So I hope that is passed on to everybody else and encouraged for everyone else.
And to be sure, when we talk about photography, like you don't have to have what we refer to as like the big girl camera, right? Like a mobile device counts. So even for those of you who are online in the audience who maybe are not like, you don't call yourself a photographer, you still have the ability to connect with your landscapes, your surroundings, your environment. And if you do have an iPhone, maybe snap that moment. Like maybe that's a sacred space, right? Even if you don't have the technical you don't want the technical background and all of the things, like you can still enjoy those sacred spaces just in your own way. Yeah.
I would even take it a step further. Even if you don't have an iPhone or a camera with you, just pausing and observing and seeing, that's a capture in and of itself. So
absolutely. We can make photographs with our memory card in our brain.
Yeah.
I love that. Thanks, Gwen. How about Kathy Bird? What do you hope this collective body of work offers to those who experience it?
Yeah, piggybacking off of what Gwen said. So just that taking the time to pause and kind of recenter and put your feet firmly on the ground. And I know for me, I have to get taking that, even just walking my dogs in the morning and looking up at the stars. And I don't do a lot of astrophotography. I don't do a lot of, but it's still amazing to get sucked into that universe of what is out there and the wonder and the just the curiosity of it. And that everybody has their own, every single person in this exhibit has presented work that is very unique because of their own individual uniqueness, and not to let social media or all those external thumbs ups and likes deter us from what we're doing, because it's just the beginning of my photography journey, I was so concerned about I need to do it all. I don't need to do it all. We don't need to do it all. Find what makes you happy. Find what makes you um, proud of what you're doing. This is the first time I've actually shared my work outside of social media, and I haven't even shared on social media so much anymore. It's not that I am not because I'm afraid to share. It's not important to me. What's important to me, and hopefully to everyone here and everybody who's listening, is what makes us happy? What makes you happy as an individual in this space, this sacred space?
And I think yeah, I mean, that's beautiful, Kathy. I think Christy alluded to like the demands and the noise and all of the things. And it's hard. It's really hard, especially with, social media and comparison and, wanting to be better at our craft and our art and wanting to do more and things like that. Sherry mentioned it earlier about creating meaning in our own way, in our own space, having that connection. As many of you have probably heard, I like to paraphrase an Eleanor Roosevelt quote. The Eleanor Roosevelt quote, that I, I paraphrase is, "What other people think of your photographs is none of your business." And we try to embrace that as sheographers and in our creative journey. And quite honestly, you're the only humans on this planet going through life the way you are, right? Like we each have we're on our own little path, right? Our own little track, right? And we're coming together. But gosh, even if we're on a workshop, for example, and we stand in the same place, or relatively speaking, we're in kind of the same general area, we're all seeing something completely different. I mean, yeah, it might be mountains and clouds and whatnot, but like when we start peeling the layers and when we start getting to what we would call a sacred space, like we have these inner experiences, we have memories, we have backgrounds, we have sensations, we have perceptions, we have things that we can't even put into words. We have our own experience, and that for me is what I hope like all of you have done with this exhibition. And I hope that others who are watching this and are maybe thinking about picking up a camera or not, just being in a sacred space, I hope that they feel inspired by what you have put forward for this. So I love that, Kathy. Yeah. All right. Thank you all for that discussion. Hopefully that provides kind of a foundation for sacred space and sacred spaces as we go into looking at some of the photographs in more detail. So let's see. I'm going to bring up a slideshow. 9 of the artists have volunteered to take us deeper into their vision and talk about one of their images from the show. So let me pull up that slideshow. In the meantime, artists, when you see your photograph on the screen, please share your title. Let me get this up. Whoops, no, wrong screen share. Hang on. Got to share my other screen. Screen 2, that one. I'm beginning. Oops, let me do this. When you see your photograph come up on the screen, please give the title to your work and a short background into why you made the photograph. Audience member and fellow photographer and friend, Guy Tall, submitted a question for the webinar, and he would like to know, what was it about this particular moment or experience that made it feel sacred to you? So we're going to get started with Miss Linda in Spirit Womb.
Well, Guy, I think that question, I can totally answer it with this. It's called Spirit. Yeah, it's called Spirit Womb. And it was, I guess it doesn't really matter where the photograph is. It's in a canyon in the San Rafael Swell. And I was camping with 2 dear friends and 2 pups. And there was no one else around. It was very quiet. We walked into this canyon, and literally the glow, I mean, you can see the glow here. It's so golden. The glow was coming, it was reflected light off the other wall, and the spirits were dancing, literally. And I looked at my friend Marilee. She looked at me. We didn't say a word, but we both felt the same exact thing. And we just stood there in awe, and it was quiet. And I just mouthed the words, the spirits, and it was there. It was there. They were there. And so I didn't pull out my camera there. It was not a space to do that. And walking around the corner, just going up the canyon a little bit, this image just reached out to me. I know I say this a lot, but it talked to me. It reached out to me. For me, this is a spirit in the womb, waiting to be born and waiting to join.
I know we do talk about the idea of letting the landscape speak to you, but to do that, we have to be listening, and we have to be paying attention, and we have to be mindful. And so, yeah, I mean, Linda, this is beautiful. There's kind of an ancient presence to it, you know, this idea that this rock has seen so many things, but it still offers kind of this balance between strength and softness. And that's kind of life, right? Like we have moments where we go back and forth. And so for me, this really offers a metaphor for kind of grounding and almost rebirth and in this idea of spirit womb. So yeah, appreciate that. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, well, thanks for the opportunity.
All right. Let's go to Kathy, Lyrical Acadia. Kathy Bird, please.
Yeah, so this is in Acadia National Park, and it was in the fall. I forget what year, but it was actually the very first day that we were there in a workshop, and it's what we call getting the yayas out, where we just go out and try to kind of leave everything that our expectations, everything behind us, and just get a feel for where we are, what we're doing. And it was, in the fall, you have this amazing fall color. And this was a little corner of a little inlet. And we just finished photographing some amazing, making some images with the fall color and ripples in the water. And I said, okay, I'm going to go explore somewhere. So I kind of turned and walked around and went down the path a little bit. And this was just some reeds that were in the shallow water with the overcast sky reflecting in the water. And I was listening to what was going on around me. I heard the voices of my companions. It was like music. And I was listening to the night sounds, and I was listening to the water just gently lap along the edges of the little cove where we were, and the smell of the fall ground and the earth. It was damp, and it felt very musical to me. And then I looked at this and I said, this is very lyrical. And one of the things that I've learned through all of these workshops is to name what I'm looking at first. And that really ties me into what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing. And yeah, so that's where this image came from. Why I made it is because it was a very lyrical moment. And it was just, and choosing it for this exhibit, it's because when I look at this, it takes me right back there. I can hear it, see it, smell it, feel it, everything. It takes me right back to it.
Kathy, I am so glad you brought that up. I'm so glad you used the word experiencing, because photography, we often hear that photography is the art of seeing, and seeing is only one of our senses. To get to sacred spaces, you've expanded your connection by using all of your senses that you've described, and you've come up with a metaphorical association of this idea of music. We see music obviously, but even hearing it kind of goes beyond just the surface level experience that we would have. I'm just walking by it or whatnot. it really just transforms the foliage into music and pushing us beyond just this idea of seeing. So I love that. And I also love that Acadia is like one of the best places to see fall color, and you've just honed in on what's meaningful to you right here, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, thank you for sharing your vision with us. Fabulous. All right, let's move on to Stormy Sunset by Rebecca Wilkes.
All righty. So this image is a lot of things, and subtle is not one of them. So the entire North Kaibab Forest, which is north of the Grand Canyon, is my sacred space, or one of my sacred spaces. I've spent hundreds of nights up there camping, and in fact, I'm going again on Sunday. This particular trip, I was there with my husband and some dear friends, and the friends had never been in this forest before. It was a fall color trip, and we'd been photographing aspens, and I thought, wow, we're on the rim of the Grand Canyon. I really ought to take them to see the Grand Canyon. And we saw that there was a storm coming in from the west, and positioned ourselves in the right place. And what you often hope for in a storm in this case is that there'll be just the right amount of clearing where the sun is setting, when the sun is setting, and this time we got it. So this is a place called Crazy Jug Point, of all things. And we had rainbows, we had lightning that was maybe a little bit too close, but we had our moment. And there were lots of great images from this trip, but this is definitely my favorite. And when I'm trying to not take myself too seriously, I think I might as well have titled this one, "It's Better to Be Lucky Than Good."
Oh, I love that. That's great. That's a great title. Could be maybe the subtitle. I agree. The Grand Canyon area is where I am able to, just put out all of the noise of the manufactured world. And I really feel like there's few places beyond the Grand Canyon that can offer the chance to like visually comprehend the true and tiny magnitude of our own existence, right? And with this photograph, because you've dropped the horizon and the drama of it all, I feel the vastness in this. I feel, but being small in the space of the world is a comforting thing. Like we can create our own meaning, and we have limited time, and all of those cliches about living a meaningful life. But the Grand Canyon for me is just one of those places where I can feel so small but so purposeful, and really connect with nature, with landscape. And I feel like your photograph here really honors that. So
thank you.
Excellent. Well done. All right, let's go to Gwen.
So when I was first getting into photography, I was signing up for workshops, and one of the participants asked the teacher, how do you get such beautiful pictures? And the instructor said, well, you start by going to beautiful places. And I thought, okay, I can do that. I can go to beautiful places. But how it translated for me was I would go to these beautiful places and I would run around in a frenzy trying to capture the beautiful picture, and I felt a lot of pressure, and it was hard to enjoy, especially at the beginning of a workshop. I would be very tense, and it wasn't very relaxing or enjoyable. This place is Caddo Lake, and I've gone for the last 5 years. It's it's a few hours away from where I live. It's familiar to me. It gives me peace that it's not a big effort to get there, and I can just go and be comfortable. And I always come home with something. It's always different, year to year, it's different. And on this morning, a couple of my friends and I were sprinting to get to the perfect sunrise spot. And in the past, I would have looked at this picture and thought, I cannot believe they're in my shot. I'm after the trees and the sunrise. And at the same time, we all just put our oars down and stopped and just observed what was in front of us and took the moment in. And it gives me goosebumps to this day when I think about that morning and how much I appreciate the friendship and the photography adventures I've had with these women. So that's why I picked this picture.
I mean, what a privilege to be invited into that space, right? Into this sacred space where it's a shared journey among friends. I mean, that's really fantastic. Everything about this photograph for me is tranquil. Like it's tranquility, like just the way the paddlers are just sitting and resting. And it just it feels like it's just encouraging everyone to just soak it all in. Whether
Yeah.
just yeah. So I think that looks like Rebecca's hat. Is that Rebecca? Is that Rebecca and Amy?
That would be Rebecca on the left and Amy on the right. And many of you know both of these women, and I'm sure now that you know their names, you can probably recognize them.
Yeah, Amy Mitten is also a sheographer. She was I think she was not able to make it tonight. But I gotta ask, did you get a model release out of this?
I'm glad the attorney is not on the call.
Perfect. I'm sure Amy will sort that out with you later.
Yeah.
Perfect. Lovely, Gwen. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Next up is Donna. Would you like to, let's recap the question so that we all remember what we're talking about. Your title, the background into why you made the photograph, and as Guy had asked, what was it about this particular moment or experience that made it feel sacred to you?
Okay. I called this one Rugged Retreat, and I'll tell you why in a minute. This is Acadia, and for the past 4 years, I have been traveling to Acadia in the last week of February and spending a glorious week there. This a picture I took two winters ago. It was a very icy week. They apparently had had some warm weather and melted a lot of the snow. So a lot of things were icy. I took this on the ocean view. If anybody has gone to Acadia, they have gone on the ocean drive. It's a 1.8 mile drive where you get to see the ocean, the cliffs, the beautiful cliffs that they have there. And it's just an amazing, amazing spot. And I was there in the afternoon. I was coming back to my car and I just spotted this rugged stone that just stuck out to me. And what caught my eye was that the stone had orange in it that matched the orange grasses in front of it. And then the ice around the stone kind of gives the viewer a timeline of when this was taking in the wintertime. But what I saw that really spoke to me most were those 5 stones that were in the ocean that were pointing out to the ocean. And when I looked at this, I thought, oh, this has got to be a long exposure so that I can create the waves, very small waves, that they would make a cloud-like ring around these stones that looked sometimes to me like ships going out into the ocean or stones just floating in the sky and the clouds. So the hard part was that I had to walk down the rocks to get to this spot where I could set my camera. And the rocks, if you've been there, there's a lot of big rocks, beautiful rocks, but they do have holes in them and they can be dangerous, especially on ice. But I had my trusty yak tracks and I said, I can do this. And I knew exactly where I wanted to end up. So the rugged retreat, one was the ruggedness of getting down to the spot where I wanted to set my camera, and also the beauty of the rugged rock that I saw that I wanted to definitely take a picture of. And I did get down to it. It was um, not as bad, not as bad as I thought. My act tracks did really well, and I had my tripod to kind of help me stay steady so I didn't take a tumble. And of course, I had my backpack on my back. But I got down to that spot, and I just it was perfect for me, and I was so excited. And the long exposure that I used a 30 seconds long exposure to get the look that I wanted. And I tried different exposures, shorter exposures and longer exposures, but 30 seconds seems to be the magic number. And it looked like Colleen had said, like a dream. Like
I was just gonna say.
and and yes, and I just yeah, it's very special. I think it's one of my favorite photos that I have ever taken there.
That's so good to hear. Yeah, the way you've done the long exposure, it's very painterly. It feels like a dream. And for those of you who know me, Acadia is like my second home, and I feel like it's where peace and wildness kind of coexist. And I feel like your photograph shows kind of that dialogue between, the foundational rock and things constantly being in motion and changing. And so, yeah, I'm glad to hear this resonates with you, and you're proud. I'd be proud of yourself too. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for it. So,
Thanks,
very good.
Colin.
Thank you, Donna. All right, let's move on to Christy.
Okay, so the name of this photograph is Ichigo Ichie, which is a Japanese phrase that means one time, one meeting. And apologies, my pronunciation might have been a little off. So I'll explain kind of the meaning of that title in a minute. But just a little background, this was on a Sheography workshop to New River Gorge, West Virginia, my first time in West Virginia. So during this day while we were out shooting, I was enjoying like the spring colors of, just in the forest while we were where we were. I live in Arizona now, and so I very much miss like green and but living in the desert. So I was just enjoying and taking that in. But I was also struggling photographically a bit because it was like a busy forest scene and there was some harsh light in the middle of the day. So I was struggling a bit, and I was just kind of observing things, and not being inspired photographically. So I was actually drawn to this blossoming redbud tree because it reminded me of my childhood home in Michigan. And so I kind of worked with the scene a bit, and like I said, it was harsh light. The scene was just very busy, and I wasn't feeling it. But then all of a sudden, I remembered like a photographic technique that I'd learned from Colleen and practiced on a previous workshop called the high key technique, where you kind of overexpose the image, like you see here. So the background gets pretty bright and blurred out, and it looks kind of very painterly, and very soft then. So once I realized that and I remembered that technique and I started working with it, I got really, really excited about the scene. And I was excited to then share with Colleen and my friends on the workshop, new friends and old friends both. So back to the title of the photograph. One time, one meeting. This is like a Japanese idiom that dates back to 16th century tea ceremonies, and it's supposed to convey that every encounter is unique, unrepeatable, and it should be treasured, as this exact moment will never occur again. So I chose that as the title of this photograph because, I may see red buds in the future, and, have a challenging photographic, scene, but I'll never again be in that exact time, place where I experience the excitement of, remembering to try a new technique and then sharing it with my friends who are there. And so that's just I like that phrase a lot, and I think that applies to a lot of photography and a lot of sacred spaces. What could be considered a sacred space is one time, one meeting.
Absolutely. Embracing the fleeting moment. The painterly quality of this, of what is fleeting beauty, is, yeah, it just evokes almost that Japanese art. So I love that you've kind of paired with that. Weren't you, like, at the time, I feel like you were planning to go to Japan and you were doing some research. So you kind of
Yes.
had that on your mind?
That's correct. This was later that year. I had a trip to Japan, and so we'd been watching some Japanese shows, kind of doing some research, and so it was actually Japanese art and culture was on my mind at the time.
Yeah, and I love that connection coming to life, even though you hadn't been to Japan. Like, this feels like a silk painting. It feels like Japanese art to me. It's a visual haiku. Because we all love writing haikus, right? Right? Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
All right. Yeah, great. Some of us do, yeah. All right. Thanks, Christy, for sharing your background for that image. Let's move into Sherry. Sherry, we've got our night sky here.
Yay! So this is called Tickling the Stars. This image was taken in the Yucca Valley in Arizona. My husband and I spend some time down there as snowbirds. And I mean, Arizona has incredible night skies. So when Milky Way season comes about, I usually coerce my husband and we go for a day drive to scout out some spots to take photos. And my goal was to actually shoot pictures of the Joshua tree, which you can see a little bit in the background. But what really grabbed me when we got out that night was how the Ocotillo were. They're just such a unique plant and not something that we get, obviously, in Alberta. And it just reached up and was touching the Milky Way. And so that was a pretty special moment for me to see this image come into play, and to be able to share that with my husband, who doesn't spend a lot of time out under the night skies, but commented that evening that he couldn't believe how many stars you could actually see when you give yourself the time to spend out there. And it's something I encourage people to do, because it takes a bit of time for your eyes to adjust to the darkness, but then you get this incredible show in front of you of the Milky Way, for example, or Northern Lights if you're lucky enough to see that. And I am fortunate to do that as well. But this image means a lot to me, because it really is something that is special, because it's not something I'm going to be able to experience often either.
Well, not so fun fact, but National Geographic reports that only about 10 to 20% of the people in the United States, they didn't report this for Canada, where you live, but in the United States, only 10 to 20% of people can see the Milky Way from their house. So so that's a good, I mean, good number of us can't see, Milky Way from our house. I did see the Northern Lights from Phoenix, Arizona, last November. But would you have any recommendations for people who, maybe have not ever seen the Milky Way? Like, where are good places to go to get started with that, Sherry?
Right. Well, there's a lot of dark sky preserves, and those are really important places on our Earth so that we can still continue to observe these phenomena that we have. Obviously, looking at the calendar, a great time, Milky Way season kind of starts in February, when the core of the Milky Way comes above the horizon. And again, let your eyes adjust to the darkness. Get away from the light pollution. You can see in this photo there is a bit of light pollution down towards the bottom of the horizon. Fortunately, it didn't take away from the Milky Way.
Well, it just adds some contrast to the Ocotillo, so that makes it stand out even more. So I think that works really well. So we've been tossing around the words mystery. I feel like night sky is just full of mystery and awe, and your photograph is inviting wonder. You've got the combination of earthbound desert, but also kind of the infinite, right, and the possibility. And so for me, it's just profoundly humbling, and profoundly inspiring. So thank you, Sherry. Thanks for sharing. All right, Linda Mattoon, please. Your image.
Well, this is in the Redwoods, Humboldt State Park. And I got to say that the Redwoods to me they're magic. They're more than the sum of their parts. And I firmly believe you cannot enter a Redwood Grove and leave as the same person. And I have a need every couple of years to go visit them. They just absolutely humble me. They rejuvenate my sense of awe. And with this image, I was wandering through a grove on a path that was paralleling Chad Creek. And I got to admit, I was overwhelmed. I really wanted to share the magic of my favorite place, and particularly with friends and family that they can't travel or they're not able to go out and go hiking. But I didn't have a lens. I don't have the skill to capture the impact of a 350-foot redwoods. And anyone who's been there, it's everywhere you look, it's just beautiful. It's like, how do you put a frame on that? And so I just kept walking, and the gurgling of the water, it's relatively dark in the forest floor. And so it soothes you, you calm down a little bit. And eventually, around the corner ahead of me, I spotted this sunlight breaking through to the forest floor and just creating one of those magical redwood moments. And it's like, I got a lens for this one. So that's my redwoods.
Redwoods are very similar in a completely different way. Like the Grand Canyon, right? The scale is just hard to comprehend. Like visually, it's just very hard to understand. Like that tree, the tree in the background there is ginormous and has been there for eons. And so it's like some of the other images, especially like Sherry's, but like in a totally different way. We have this mystery, like we're being invited down this path, and the light kind of grabs our attention and pulls us around the corner. Like, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but curiosity is going to lead me right down that path. I want to know what's around that corner. And this image is very inviting for that. Yeah. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you.
Whoop. Did you have anything else? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, thank you.
Cut you short. Okay. All right. Our last image for the evening is Shirley. Shirley? Oop, you're on mute. Oh, hang on. I think you're on mute, and I think I've got some sort of transition going. So let me undo that and then here we go. All right. Here we go.
Okay. This is Light Breaks, and it was made on the island of Molokai, a place that has become very special to me as it's what set me on the path of contemplative practice and creativity and picking up my camera and doing something different than just taking pictures of family vacations and my kids. In this particular day this was plan B. It had been a really rainy week, and the place that we had originally intended to do a sunrise opportunity just was not available. The road was impassable, and so we had to do something different. So we went to high ground, and we were looking down the cliffs on the north shore of Molokai. And when we left at 4:30 in the morning, it was really heavy overcast and pouring rain. And so we had very low expectations. But you go out no matter what, and you see what happens and stay open to possibilities. And we were about at the point where people were starting to grumble and figured we'd go back and have coffee and breakfast. And we had this pure, just unexpected gift. And part of what made it special, I mean, there were probably other people in the world that saw this happen, but they weren't at the top of a 2,000-foot cliff looking down the way, and they couldn't see the light on the ocean. They couldn't see the light on that meadow out there. And there's about 25 people in the world that have their own version of this image. And I think that shared experience is part of what made this a sacred moment for us.
I'd say plan B worked out pretty great. Yeah, the
It,
plan
it
is the
worked.
plan and the plan changes, but
Yeah, it worked out very nicely. And our friend DeWitt Jones, when you have an experience like this, he throws up his arms and goes, "Thank you." And so we were all up there doing a happy dance and thanking the universe for the gift of that morning together.
absolutely. Yeah, we can add to it Christie's Japanese term. I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, Christy, so you're going to have to jump in on this. What is it? Ichigo?
Ichigo Ichie. And if Gabe he's on, but I'm sure he's correcting me in his mind.
No
He was
worries.
co-
That's
he
close
was
enough.
coaching me.
It's close enough. We get the vibe of it. So this is kind of that moment in Shirley's world, right? So,
Absolutely. Yeah. I really could identify with that phrase, Christy. I'm going to have to write that down, and also the pronunciation.
we'll need like a bumper sticker, maybe like maybe
There we
on our
go.
photography t-shirts or something like that. Yeah, maybe it's our new phrase. Yeah. Shirley, I think it's really great that you started our panel discussion with trying to put what a sacred space is into words. And we can try to use words. We can try to use images even to describe the sacredness and what's sacred to us. But there's something transcendent about a moment like this, and where we feel it very deeply, and we don't have to explain it. And the fact that you have an image of it, I think is really, really, really wonderful. So it's just so vast, and there's so much awe in this image. So yeah.
Thank you. It's
Great.
one of those things that you can't really describe it, but you know what, when you see it or feel it.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. All right. So before we open things up to the audience for some questions here, I just want to take a moment to sincerely thank, I'll stop the share here. Sincerely thank all of the artists for sharing such personal and thoughtful interpretations of their sacred space through their work. So bravo, ladies. Thank you. Thank you. Your images on their own are powerful, but as a collection gain even more strength. And so we're just so grateful. I'm so grateful for you sharing your heart and your soul and your vision, the vision that you each brought. And yeah, just the effort and the thought behind all of the images, bringing it to this exhibition it means a lot to me. And I know that people are going to get a lot out of that. So congratulations and thank you once again. Yay! All right, so we are running a little short on time. I don't think that's not a problem. Some really great stuff going on here. So we will take a few questions, and I do have a couple in the Q&A, and then I also have some that were submitted. So I'm going to start with Holly, a sheographer, Holly Lair, sheographer, submitted. What has been the most rewarding aspect from this experience for you? Would anyone like to volunteer an answer? Kathy's waving her hand. Miss Kathy Bird, please.
Hi, Holly. I know you're out there. I'm trying to pay attention to what everybody's saying, and thank you everybody for the comments in the webinar chat. It's just trying to remain firmly centered on all of this, right? Keep my feet grounded. So, and what was the question again? I really wanted to say hi to Holly.
Holly asked, what has been the most rewarding aspect from this experience for you?
The experience of the webinar or the experience of the exhibit?
Well, sure.
Or,
I think
yeah,
the exhibition, but I'll welcome comments.
Yeah. So from the exhibit part of it, it is working with some friends and continuing my creative journey and learning something new. If anything, through all of this process, I've learned, number one, I've always loved to learn, but I'm a perfectionist at heart, and to let go of that perfectionism and to try and just say, okay, you know, it letting go of that has been a big part of it. And through every woman that I've met in this this group over the years, I've learned a little something from everybody, and being able to talk about all of that. And this, you know, putting this out there in this space has been a little anxiety provoking for me. And but I'm learning from it that I'm going to be okay, right? It's not going to break me. I'm going to learn from it and grow from it. So that's been a big part of this for me.
I think as artists, you know, we are faced with anxiety. We are facing fear. I mean, putting your heart and soul out to the world.
Vulnerability. We're vulnerable, right? Yeah. And
Big
that's
deal.
a big part of it.
And I've been doing this for 25 years now, 25 plus years. That fear never goes away. Your confidence to do it grows. And as you do it, as you try new things, I mean, new things are scary. It's uncertain, right? We've never done them before. So yeah, it's very normal to be you know, kind of nervous about things. But the key is that you prepare yourself, and you all did that. You all prepared yourself so well. You were open to vulnerable, putting yourself out there for judgment, and look at us all now. We're still here.
And just one last thing. It's not just the connection. Well, this group is very special and near and dear to my heart. But I've also met some other really amazing people through the extension of this photography community, because of dipping my toes into something that was at the very beginning was I almost didn't do it. And I said yes. So learning to say yes and learning to meet new people, 100%.
One of my favorite quotes is, I think it's Neil Donald Walsh, I think that's the right attribution, is life begins at the end of your comfort zone.
Yep.
Linda Mattoon, were you waving your hand? Did you want to say?
And I was thinking that in the comfort zone, the webinar, the people you're dealing with, the Sheography group, it was such a wonderful way to make that move outside of the comfort zone more of a nudge as opposed to a leap.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the beautiful thing about this community is how supportive we all are. Shirley, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I can really identify with what Kathy said about saying yes, because the first photo workshop that I did, I threw out the first 3 emails that I got without even telling anybody about it, because I just thought I didn't qualify, I wasn't good enough. It was intimidating, but my husband said, you know, it never hurts to ask, check it out. So I did, and I said that yes, and it was the biggest step outside my comfort zone I've ever taken. And look where it's brought me. Wow.
Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you all.
We are glad for it, for sure. Yeah. All right, kind of on the same notes, let me dive into the Q&A. Loretta Clark has asked, she would like to know if any of you intend to do other things with your images. Are you doing other exhibitions, zines, books? Is this the beginning of a project? I'll answer just real quick on behalf of Sheography. This is the first exhibition that we have ever done, because it has been such a positive experience. We will continue to do future exhibitions. So stay tuned for more on that. Does anyone have any major plans for the images that are in this show? Yeah, Sue, go ahead.
Well, not necessarily for the images in this show, but I always try to enter contests. There's like Arizona Highways, or there's one called Share the Experience. That's a really good photo contest. And that gets your work out. It also is really great to have a website, and you can get a website started for, not a lot of money. Because it gets you out there, and even being on Instagram gets you out there. And being on Instagram, I've gotten different groups to see my photos, and then they've contacted me, and then they purchased photos and stuff like that, and then I've gotten photos put into hospitals, and so it's just good to get out there and show your work.
That's amazing. Yeah, well, so I'll phrase the question maybe a little bit different. For
Okay.
those of you who haven't shown, and no, Sue, that was great. I'm going to go a little bit further. For those of you who have never shown your work outside of like social media or maybe your friends and family, like, are you feeling through this experience, you're feeling more, maybe you will look into books and projects and maybe other things? Has the exhibition inspired you in any way in that direction? Maybe. Yeah.
Everybody's being really quiet, so you can't ask a question and not have somebody say something. I'll just speak for myself. I've started printing again.
Nice.
And where they wind up is wherever they wind up. I have a bunch of photos in my house. I'm replacing those. And for me, putting it on, having it in my hand so I can look at it. And my photography friends have been very, very helpful. I used to print, and now I'm getting back and I'm learning about the different papers, and I've gotten huge support, and whether they go any further than my wall is fine. But at least I am doing more than looking at them when I get home from a trip.
Absolutely. Excellent. Yeah. Shirley, real quick.
If you want to do something a little different with your images, I've made travel logs with mine and shared them at local assisted living facilities. People love to do a little armchair travel with you, especially if it's a place that they've been before and they can relive their own experiences.
Love it. That would be phenomenal way to keep people connected with nature and with those sacred spaces, even if they're not able to always get there themselves. So yeah, I hope this exhibition inspires you in multiple ways. For those of you who participated, I hope this has been a maybe scary, but hopefully rewarding enough experience where you'd want to do it again. I mean, the show is phenomenal. For those who are online, hopefully, it inspires you to connect with your own sacred spaces. So before we're going to wrap up here, and I do want to mention there's some people who did submit some questions that I'm not going to be able to get to in the interest of time, because I do want to do a quick little orientation to the exhibition since it is kind of new software, new technology. But I do want to thank you for submitting your questions, and I apologize that we can't get to them all tonight. But let me see. The online exhibition, if you have not seen it yet, hopefully this webinar has inspired you to go see it. If you have already seen it, hopefully you'll go back into it and maybe see it in a little bit different way now that you have some background from the participating artists. I'm going to bring up the website here. Let me do this. We're done with that, and let's bring up, you can access the exhibition through sheography.com/exhibitions. If you haven't seen it, I kind of want to do a quick orientation on how to navigate it. It's like super cool. So if you scroll down, you're going to see this little block here that says enter exhibition, and you're going to click on that. This is kind of a live demo. At the top here, you've got 4 different arrows. If you click on that, you can navigate within the screen here, but you can also do a full screen view of it. And I would recommend that. And you can use your cursor, which is what I'm doing here. You could use your arrows, which is what I'm doing here. There's some arrows and navigation here, but you can essentially go through the entire exhibition. It's like having your own museum gallery without all the people for the introverts in the right. And so when you get into the exhibition, you can actually click on, I'm just going to pick on Karen here. You can pick on one of the images, you can click on it. It goes straight to the image. You can view the image, soak in all of that sacred space and all of that meaning. And then you can click on the eye, and it's going to give you more information about that photograph. It's going to give you the title, the artist description. If they're selling prints, just about everyone, I think, is open to print inquiries. So if you see a print inquiry, please contact them. Please buy prints from them. This is amazing. They would love to share their work with you. And then there's a bio for each of the different audiences, or for the different artists. So you can click out of that. You can move to the next one. We'll just move this way. Ambika is not with us tonight, but this is her image. The other thing that you can do within the exhibition, which is super cool, is in the pull down here, there's something called Start Tour. And it'll go straight back to the beginning. You can do hands off. So I'm not touching any of the cursors or anything, and it'll just it will move you through the exhibition. Be sure to check out the exhibition catalog as well. And so, yeah, you can see that it's moving from photo to photograph. So you can stop at any time and kind of do your own thing as well. So we hope that you will check that out. And if you have any comments, we would love to hear from you. So send an email at the very end here. Where is it? At the very end. There on the Sheography overview, the very last one, there'll be a note here that if you have any commentary, I would love to share that with the artist. So please reach out. If you, since I have the floor, if you are interested, oh, where did it go? Where did it go? Okay. Back to Sheography. If you loved what you hear and you're not a sheographer, we would invite you to become part of our community. Join us on a photography workshop. We go to remarkable places, but as you've heard today, we have experiences beyond just the place. And so how you can get involved, if you want to learn more about sheography, it's sheography.com. You can see some of the trips. All of the trips for 2026 are sold out. But I am going to announce with the Sheography newsletter the 2027 offerings. If you are interested, the best way to get involved is to join the newsletter, which you can do at the bottom of the page here. The Sheography newsletter gets first notification of registration, and a lot of the times our trips sell out before they even reach the public view. So if you are interested, we would love to have you join us. We do not assume any photographic or outdoor experience. If you just want to learn, we're here to help. And it's like we've talked about before, it's a safe and supportive environment for you to learn how to express yourself in the most meaningful way possible. So do any of the other sheographers, do you guys have any comments on what sheography means to you, or any additional thoughts from you before we close up?
I'll talk.
Go ahead, shoot it out. Go ahead.
Okay. The Sheography workshop, to me, I'd only been on one other one, and that was in the Smoky Mountains. And Colleen was one of the photographers there, and that's where I actually met her. But it was the most wonderful, wonderful experience that I've had in a long time. It's an experience that I think about a lot, and it makes me want to do more workshops. And the women that I met are wonderful, and there's some of them I still keep in touch with. There's a couple of them that on my Instagram, we always kind of like each other's photos and make a few comments here and there. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend that if you're interested in photography, that you take one of Colleen's workshops. She's amazing.
Wait a minute.
She's fun. She's fun. She just can teach you everything. I mean, I had learned so much from Colleen, and I just adore her.
Oh,
And
you guys are gonna make me cry now.
And thank her so much. And the one thing I remember most is I did the New River Gorge, which is in West Virginia. And after that, she set up a rafting trip if people wanted to take a rafting trip. So I think about that rafting trip a lot and how fun that was. And we dove into the water and were able to float in the water. So it's just amazing, very amazing. So do it.
Yeah, it was you, me, and Christy who jumped in the water when the guy says, "Does anyone want to swim the rapid?" And we're like, "Of course, yes."
Yes.
Yeah, that is an unforgettable moment for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps up our session. I just want to, as we wrap up this very, very special celebration, thank you once again to our artist for sharing your vision, your stories, your insights. And I want to thank every single person who joined us for this event, for the webinar. Your encouragement, your support, your words, all the things in the chat, they all mean so much to us, and we are so thankful to know you and to extend this celebration. You're part of this community, and we appreciate all of your support of all of these artists. And we're going to, your presence has just made it more special for us. I mean, this is such a magical moment for me, for all of us. And your presence has made it even more special. So thank you so very much. I am going to, hopefully this has been recorded, and I will have an email out to all who have registered, whether you are online or not. And if you would like to replay this, feel free. Anytime you need some inspiration, I feel like we've got lots and lots of inspiration from our artists today, and hopefully it inspires you to find your own sacred space, to think about it, to define it, and to relish in it, to soak it all in. So thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time. See you later.